are with Dr. Robyn Benson, amazing healer, and I'm experiencing such a change in my life in so many levels because of her. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Robyn?
Sure. First of all, I've been in practice now for 23 years. And the center here, we are at Santa Fe Soul Center for Optimal Health. This is a vision that was, gosh, I think since my early 20s. It was really in me, and I manifested it in 2005. We actually built Santa Fe Soul, which is a community center. And it's, as you know, when you walk in, you instantly feel the healing presence here. And it's in unity and diversity. We represent all healing, all spiritual traditions. And in this event room where we are, we have hosted, gosh, hundreds and hundreds of teachers, people from around the world to share their gifts here. We've had dance classes, yoga, transformation. So much has happened in this room alone. And we've been very fortunate to have, anywhere between 20 to 30 practitioners where we offer at least 40 different services, anything from chiropractic to energy psychology, acupuncture. We're pretty cutting edge. So I love to bring in amazing technology that really helps the body heal. So we call it Santa Fe Soul. It's really about helping people peel off those layers, anything that's getting in the way of people really living from their heart space, from their soul self.
Right. Now, what is your vision? How are you following that?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question, Isabella. I mean, this whole center was a vision, like I said, that happened way before I actually put it into. We built this from the ground up, like as I mentioned, so that doing intentional work, like honoring the land, and so the vision keeps coming through. So in our 10th year, it has evolved so much from day to day, from year to year. And I think that what I'm seeing for Santa Fe Soul is that it continues to be a global center that is a good model for other centers. I mean, that's always been something that I saw, when I did a lot of healing work before we even built the center, that we would connect with other healing centers. And also that it will become more of a high performance center. We've learned a lot from Dave Asprey, who was just here about biohacking, which really means essentially how do we optimize our biology, our chemistry, so we think clearer, that our organs are working better, that we have more energy, that our hormones are working. So we already have a lot of that technology, but we will continue to bring that in, again, to really help people we don't have like we have 10 minutes to get well. We don't have like 10 to 15 years to be in therapy anymore. I mean, people need help now. And the way in which we can help them bypass so many of those years of thinking, God, I've been working on this, but I'm still not better. How can we be the best detectives? They're using really good lab work, bringing the science and marrying that with actual practical services that we offer here to help people live better. Because this is a time of great change. So the huge change, and I think what inspires me the most is, when I hear what's just happened in the last 50 years, when we think about our water, our air, our food supply, right? And what's happening to our children. There's a lot of chronic illness, certainly all around the world, but what I'm seeing with our children, whether it's ADD or the increase in cancer, brain cancer is unbelievable how much, like 25% increase in brain cancer in just like the last 5 years. So we're living in, a time, I call it electrified times. We're so disconnected from the earth, and that is probably, I always call it the holy spark. When we really want to work and function on a cellular basis, we need to be outdoors a lot more. So part of my mission, my vision is to share with the world that yes, we can't live without this technology, our cell phones, Wi-Fi, all of that, but how can we still live with it, but take care of our own body? And optimize our body, from hydration to getting people to move outdoors as much as possible. But it's really undermining our health, our ability to think. We get heart palpitations. We're not digesting. Right? We're disconnected. So that's a big part of the vision, is to keep educating the world on the simple steps that you can take to feel well.
Go back to source. Yeah. What was the first feeling that ignited your passion for the healing arts? That first. Oh God, this feels so good.
You know, it absolutely happened when I was very young, when I was, maybe 4 or 5, when my mother gave birth to the fifth sibling. He had a hole in his heart and had other health complications, and he only lived for 6 months. So I really saw how a health issue could impact an entire family, but also to see that this little boy was suffering on lots of levels. And despite what my parents did to help save his life, he passed on. So as a little girl, it made an impression on me how important it is to have your health. And when he did die, I remember thinking, after seeing all the steps that my parents, all the things that they did, like driving to New York City and going to some specialists with, babies with heart issues, that, how could I have saved his life? If I were a doctor, and I certainly now having the tools that we have today, so I'm so grateful for all the advances in medicine, but it just inspired me to really help people live well. But I didn't even say that was just the initial inspiration. However, it's never left me. And so when I was in 5th grade, I was part of a career day with a medical doctor, just me, and Dr. Rainsfield was his name. And I had no idea what was going to happen, but he took me to 2 nursing homes. And when I saw the level of sickness, now it's different than being in a hospital, but still, these people were not well. The smell of the place, the sounds, going up and meeting some of the patients that he was taking care of. But what I always remember was there were a lot of young people. And he just said, Robyn, so many people are here because they've made bad choices in their diet. They've had too much alcohol, whatever. But that is kind of why they're here. And some people just natural evolution of aging. But I just thought, what? I thought, what would it take? I wonder, it's almost like I could see into these people's eyes and wonder what the story was that got them there.
Right, exactly.
And that's still how I look into the eyes of patients of mine as they come in the door and they're on my table thinking, what's the story that got them?
I feel that from you.
Oh, thank you.
And you realize that you've seen the beginning and the end in your life. Your brother was definitely an angel that came here to set you in that path. It had to be always being a very touching moment, right? That we just pull out and we pay attention. Wow, this is transforming, and that's something I would like to do. What do you find the major concern for people to improve on, and what are you doing to make a difference in their life about that subject?
And this was something that I talked a lot about in my most recent book, The Healthy Conscious Traveler, 8 Pathways to Smart and Effortless Travel. And obviously the metaphor here is not only how are we traveling on planes, trains, buses, and in our own cars, but how are we traveling through life? And I truly feel that when I think about the 80,000, 90,000, God only knows how many patients now that I've treated, probably the number one thing that people really need to consider is to practice self-care. So that's a big word, almost like self-care. It's something that we all need to practice, and many of us are, but to take that more seriously now than ever before, that we've ever had to consider how necessary it is. But just to simplify that, when I break that down, probably the most important thing I would have to share with people is what they're eating. I think food, we are what we eat and what we digest, and we want to put nature back into our body. So whatever Mother Nature provides, certainly organic foods is really critical, and have a more high water food diet, I think, is really essential. Certainly grass-fed food and staying away from, farm-raised fish. We really need to put the best possible food, and how we nurture ourselves is how our cells respond, it's how our organs function, it's certainly how we are in terms of our brain potential, and having a sharp mind each day, because that really matters in terms of your productivity and how you're being of service in the world.
For me, because I do the work myself since 4 years old, really, I was trained, it's to educate, because people just don't know.
Right.
And it's no education in schools. It's no guidance. Education is, I think, the major destroyer in the planet, is not knowing, and being so uneducated and disconnected.
Right.
Because people tells me, wow, you have stomach points in your face. It's almost like they work out with the head thinking they left every organ at home.
Right.
So I think you're doing that work so fantastically. You mentioned in something I read that the most important to you is to stretch far beyond your comfort zone. Again, you elaborate a little bit on that.
You know, I have to say, when people say, how have you been able to do the things that you've done, and have two teenagers and run a center, run a practice, and travel in the ways that you do, I think that I'm a risk taker. Building a center was a very risky thing. Jumping out of plane, bungee jumping, just doing new things that are really uncomfortable, really stretch me. And then I'm forever connected to what's possible, like to always be in that space of inquiry, to be in that place of, maybe I could do this too.
I am magical and I can do that.
Exactly. Running my first marathon when I was 15 was a completely a result of a friend of mine who died of leukemia. And he and I were on a cross-country team together in high school, and his dream was to run a marathon. I thought, God, I'm only 14 at that time. And, it's just an amazing story, but crossing that finish line just like short of 4 hours was just another time that I'm like, oh my God, I can do this. I can run 26 miles. I'm only 15 years old. And if I can do that, I can do a lot of other things. So I keep stretching myself, and I'm not sure what is next. But for me, it's not like I write a goal because of this is going to make me successful. I really get the inspiration from above. I sat on this. January of 2004. My husband told me about this land that was available, and check it out. Maybe for, maybe you'll do something with it. So. And I thought, I was overwhelmed by the idea of building a center, I must admit. But when I stood on that land, it was a very cold January morning, and I thought, it just like a download. And I've written that story, and people, it's amazing how I'm like, oh my gosh, so all my doubts and fears, it just kind of like, I'm like, okay, just show me the way. I'm gonna do this because I see the impact that one place can have on thousands of people's lives, and we've been able to witness that.
What I feel from you since the minute I ever saw you is that you are walking in a ray of trust and faith, okay?
Exactly.
That is the opposite of fear, okay? And not being in love, and you come from the heart. I mean, you look at your eyes, and it's this believing child, compassionate, amazing soul that embraces all. And I think embracing and trusting your instinct is so powerful, and people are so disconnected from the instinct.
Right.
They want second-hand validation from outside. To trust that, you are so the role model for the opposite, and it's so needed in this planet. So I gotta give you that moment. We don't think about ourselves that way.
Right. I think what's really most important to continue that connection is my connection to the earth and my connection to above. As above, so below. But I always feel like a lot of my inspiration comes from above or through people. I mean, it's not like just invisible. Like so many amazing messages come through people. And also my connection to the earth. So whether it's running, being on my earthing mat in the morning, the more I come from that wholeness, my soul self, then even if it's scary, I can move that out of the way and just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Trust and faith. You're aligned with trust and faith. You're aligned.
And I just want to say one more thing too about that. One of the most important ways to practice self-care, or I consider the most important pathway to live vibrantly in today's world. Not only to have vitality, but to feel just deeply rooted, to feel connected to who you are, is to be your own best healthcare advocate. Like there's no one can do, even though I'm the facilitator for so many people in terms of their transformation, in terms of their health, the ones that are successful they're obviously doing the work. They're like, okay, I've got to change my diet. I need to start moving. I need to work on my thoughts. I need to look at the trauma that I've experienced and witness, not only witness, but accept the fact that it's caused certain derailment of living a lot of the ways in which you want to. So, but I still think that the trauma, I always say transmute, that how important it is to transmute trauma because it's part of our being. It's just having a different relationship with it. So we're not a victim of it anymore. To rise above it,
creates new tools,
it certainly does.
You have such different tools that if we didn't go there or didn't have, how can we understand a person that comes to us with that if we can recognize what's going on?
Right.
And that's the journey, because we live through so many ups and downs, just so we can look at someone and say, I've been there and I know that you can conquer this. And that soul understands, right? And you know that, such a tool.
I love the saying, I don't know who this quote is by, but even in adversity to see the world in exquisite beauty. And for me, every time, I mean, I'm constantly stretching myself. So of course, part of that is looking at the failures, what didn't work, and reframing it, and what do I need to do differently. So, and being gentle, practicing a lot of self-compassion is really great, because there's always the next steps to take. And that's one of the, I feel very fortunate that I'm able to move through some of, whether you call them my failures, or just to keep moving forward and not to let that poison of whatever happened, everything doesn't, this is something that someone said, I'll never forget it, but nothing happens to you but for you.
Right.
I'm not a victim of my circumstances, and to use all the faculties, to use all the tools that I've learned in my lifetime to say, okay, I can do this, I can move forward. I can do it better.
That's what children do. I mean, they don't think that it's bad. They don't know that it's bad. A dog, an animal, which are huge animals, they don't. They just do, and they go on, and that's why they can learn and be so proliferous in what they do. I call it myself my stairway to heaven, because I take these as steps. Okay, my next step, my next step, my next step. Whenever something happens. And I pride myself that to turn a challenge into an opportunity and transform, right? With that butterfly, that caterpillar that is, we trap ourselves in these webs of stuff. Do you have a particular regimen that you follow and want to share with our viewers?
Like how I start my day?
Anything you can share that they can pick that piece, that you always go, wow, that really resonates with me. That's a really good way to do something, because we get stuck and we don't know. And somebody like you that have had all these steps and all this, it summarizes it and makes it so much more simple, right?
Right. Let me see if I can answer this question best. I have what I call the START program. Like when I think about the restart button, the refresh button, like every morning when we wake up, no matter what the story was yesterday, we can just start with fresh eyes. So I'm just going to tell you the quick acronym for that, START. So when I get up in the morning, I like to stretch and connect. So just what animals do. All around, that's what animals do. They stretch. They don't just hop out of bed, right? So for me, I do that, and I like to connect. So that either means just get up and go outside and connect to the earth, or just getting out of my bed and just getting on the floor and just saying, I'm here now, touching my heart, just really connecting to my body. And I think that is so important. And rather than the alarm system going off, and in my body too, like, oh my God, I've got this huge day ahead of me. And then the T is about self-talk. Because sometimes, even me, I'll wake up in the morning like, oh my gosh, I've got this and this and that to do. I've got to get my kids off to school. I've got to get this flight today. I've got to schedule my next 5. I travel a ton. So, there's always, I'm here and I'm there. I'm always in motion. So self-talk, just bring self-love to being, just getting some nice thoughts, that law of attraction and the power of words. Is really important. And then I think about what are only 3 action steps? What are the most important things that I want to accomplish today before I go to bed? So, and I usually write those down, or I just really connect with what they are. Rest and restoration, rest and relaxation. Just for me, it might be getting on the Tesla lights. We have a lot of great technology here. If I just sometimes, like yesterday, just take 8 minutes, that's it. It's again, a refresh button. And for me, I like to be brought into the present, because I don't like the feeling of life is going so fast. I like to feel, whether I'm with a patient, whether I'm with my daughter having a conversation, or I'm on the phone. I want to be in the present. Sometimes it's just like a 3-minute meditation. I'll just lie on the table. Sometimes I'll just do a breathing technique or a Tonglen. I learned that from Pema Chodron. When something bugs me, 3 or 4 or 10 things can happen in one day. I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking pissed off. I'm like, my nature is to typically kind of react and then I chill. Anyone who knows me, works with me, that I get over it fast. Yeah. But I like to think about, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? This technique, do you know about this Tonglen?
Yeah, well, maybe you should.
Okay, so Tonglen is like an ancient, I guess it's Pema is amazing. She's a Buddhist teacher, and it's just a way to forgive and to release. You can take a trauma that has been creating patterns after patterns in your life, whether it's relationship patterns, it's food patterns, it's who knows what patterns, and quickly change it. Because again, I think a lot of us, the sooner we can release something, the better. I'm all for it. I like to be as present in my body as I can be at all times. Also to keep that channel open. So anyway, let's say, for example, I missed a flight, and that really bums me out, right? And and then I think about something really unbelievably, something that makes me very happy. And then I think about something that makes me, again, go back to the event. You go back to the event 3 times that's really triggered you. You're upset. You're going to miss I've missed my speaking engagement. I've missed connecting with friends. I missed the dinner. This has actually happened. And then I think about, like being with my kids or being with some really good friends, like having a girls' night out. I think about my parents. I think about something that really makes me happy. I think about what I've witnessed here, incredible events that have happened in this room. And then I go back to the event, and then I'm like, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Rather than having, 2 or 3 weeks, months, years of being so upset about something. I'm giving a very simple issue, but that was a big deal. It was a big deal, right. Big deal to me at the time. Resetting, but even really serious things like a death of a parent. There's so many things that happen every single day that are really challenging in our lives. It could be getting a diagnosis. I work with people getting a diagnosis of some type of cancer in their body, and quickly going into thinking of something really positive and bringing the energetics of that, because it changes our cellular matrix. Yes, it changes how energy moves within us and outside us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what else we're going to attract? I wonder that one all the time. So we understand you provide cutting-edge healing modalities for acupuncture, Oriental Medicine, IVs. Is in anything that you don't think people are being aware of, like the prolozone? People are always asking me, what? You did what? What is that? Or the Tesla lights, because a lot of these things that you have in your center that they're not out, and we would like to invite the viewers to come and be here with you and have that in their life too.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, after doing acupuncture for a couple years, it doesn't even matter how long. I'm always in the moment of like, what can help people faster? It's not even just about fast, but why be in pain, right? There's so many incredible modalities out there that really faster, and I love to look at technology, especially that mimic nature. So you mentioned prolozone. Let me talk about that one first, just briefly. So I love this. This is actually an injection where I'm injecting a proliferative agent, which is essentially procaine, a little bit of dextrose, sometimes some B12, sometimes we add ocean water. I inject that first. So let's say I treat knees, ankles, herniated discs, shoulders, you name it. If any ligamentous instability in the body, I inject this proliferative agent followed by the ozone. And it's incredible what happens if you can even see it under ultrasound. So let's say I had a partial tear of my supraspinatus tendon here. It instantly will help it to go back to more to its nature. Knees, ankles, people who've let's say 10 years ago you twisted your ankle, to go in there and do some prolozone will help to get that ligament back into its normal nature. Because once we overstretch something, it rarely goes back to its original shape. And we also get, along with that, scar tissue. So that is just something that acupuncture is fantastic. I usually do acupuncture along with the prolozone, but when I do the prolozone, people are like scheduled for surgery in their knee. They come in for 1 session, 2, 3, maybe 4 injections, and they're like, "Oh my God, I canceled my surgery."
I was a year with the problem on my desk.
Yes.
And I tried everything from Amazon doctors to name it, nothing. You did the prolozone. I'm fully out of pain, and I travel a lot. So this it's amazing symptom.
Yeah.
I mean, it just took me out big time.
The other thing that I really love is pulse electromagnetic field technology. It's to simplify what that is, it's a Tesla coil in most of these units that we have. The sleeping mat that we do, it basically, what it does is it creates a field that you can actually measure, like 3 feet above and 3 feet below. And it creates this field that activates your cellular health. So you go from the raisin to the grape. So the raisin means you've got inflamed cells, you're not getting good oxygen exchange, you're not detoxifying, to the grape syndrome. So just with 8 minutes, because it's helpful for people to understand your cells are like little batteries. So if the light in your cells is really dimmed, you're exhausted. You don't feel good when you wake up in the morning. You have pain, your body is stagnant. And when you have your cells look like voluptuous grapes, you have great oxygen transport. You get your minerals and your vitamins into the cells, and you also get all the toxins out. So the PMF mimics nature. Since we're not outdoors as much as we need, it's great that I'm a huge support, not only the self-care revolution, we have that whole online world now, but also marrying that with the home healthcare revolution.
It's fantastic.
Yes.
I do them at least 3 times a week, and it's huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
What inspired you to connect with the indigenous cultures? That's a very interesting point here.
I'm trying to think of my first trip abroad, but connecting with the Maasai people of Kenya, and then I've also been to Peru a couple of times. Some of the amazing Peruvian people that have really touched my life. Going to Egypt and Turkey. When I spent time with the Peruvian shamans, I learned so much about kind of the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And I really feel that the medicine from the earth is so important. Again, that could be food, it could be plant medicine, how important it is. So before I learned about the technology, it was really learning and listening to the songs that they sang, from sharing with me. Like when I was in Kenya in 2005, I was having a serious sleep issue, and they helped me. When I would go running with them, or they would go barefoot, right? And their connection to the earth, and the songs that we would sing, they would sing their Maasai songs, which were about water, which were about the sky, about the stars, about the animals. It was like so amazing how really health is like returning to your nature. Is what I learned from them, and the importance of being connected to the earth. And we live very, very different lives, but how can I take that message and bring that into my own life and share that with my patients? And again, the herbs from the earth too, like going on an herb walk in Kenya, and also did that in Peru. Like, wow, like within 15 minutes or walk of wherever they are, they can, have something that can help with digestive issues, something that can help with sleep, something that can help with depression. And so I was just so impressed with that. And I'm like, wow.
I grew up there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's part of that incredible disconnection that's happening, and that's where people get refueled.
I know.
So when I find that that's good, those are really healthy vacations when we can go to the beach, we can go hiking, or when people are feeling just overwhelmed, I'm like, just go take a hike, just get outdoors. Right. It's like the best medicine, and it doesn't cost anything. I always call it free healing.
Right?
Free healing.
What is the modalities? What is it that you brought and your translation from all these indigenous cultures? And I see Mother Earth and Pachamama, of course, and it's something that you translate and use with different individuals when you work.
So it might be an oil.
Right.
You know, there are different herbs like the Amazonian herbs that are incredible, like graviola, which is incredible for masses of any sort. Um, Cat's claw.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, there are so many. So I brought those into my clinic. I have like a pharmacy of maybe 27 different companies.
Wow.
But again, alive, you know, rather than something that's necessarily in a capsule, maybe a liquid, something that's really easy to absorb, and that can quickly change the consciousness. That we can raise our awareness. I always say this is a time. Consciousness is such an important word for us to be aware, but not only that, to be active, to take action. You know, just not to sit there and just say, oh, you know, I've got this issue, but to take action, you know, every day, to be proactive in your life. I mean, why not live with joy? Because, you know, so I've been to a lot of developing nations and who don't have obviously, they don't have the running water, they don't have the ease of food, they don't have refrigeration, they don't have cars, and they're the happiest people on the planet. So that's probably what I've learned more than just about anything. And it's really simplified my life too. I'm like, gosh, you know, if I have to go sleep on the ground tonight, I'm going to sleep on the ground tonight. If I'm going to have 5 people in one room in a hotel, let's do it. You know, it's like, it's just.
Yeah, I grew up like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that I was poor. I didn't know that I didn't have. I didn't know that I wasn't somebody because I wasn't attached to a lot of things. So that myself sense of identity comes from a different place.
Yeah.
I can be with nothing and everything, and I still have Isabel. So
Right.
that really helps me.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what else was that I've learned a lot from my friends from afar, who are so near here, is just the power of community.
Right.
I mean, wow. Like,
Huge.
that's what we have here. So even the inspiration for Santa Fe Soul had a lot to do with, like, remembering being in several different offices prior to being here by myself, or maybe with just one other practitioner. But to have a community of practitioners where we collaborate together is amazing. It's life-changing for all of us to have the support of each other, but also the way that we can collaborate on behalf of our patients is pretty extraordinary.
For me.
Yes.
The team, that collaboration, because the tribes here are very divided.
Yeah.
And everybody's doing, the family can be in 7 different places. And
right.
So that was a challenge that I learned how to live, because I understand the culture is different.
Right.
You know?
And so great when power of community comes together here, whether it's through a yoga class or it's a class, but the transformation that happens when we're in a we.
Right.
From me to we, because I think so many of us, we become isolated, depressed, not realizing that we're part of this collective.
Right.
You know, to really solve a lot of the problems that are happening on the earth, it's we coming together.
The whole problem on the planet is the division. Division in race, money, whatever the story, you know, just the story, really. Let me see about this. What is your view in beauty? Since I've been in the beauty so-called, planet for 40 years, I realized that beauty for me comes from a different place. My validation comes from a different place. So what would be beauty for you? What do you think is beautiful when you look at somebody? You know, I've seen people that, according to Vogue magazine, they're not so beautiful. I work with Mother Teresa. I never saw her. Oh, she's got Lyme. She needs to get a pool or whatever. What's beauty for you?
You know, beauty it's always going to be going back to nature. So it's like beauty is the ocean. It's fresh flowers. It's looking at somebody and just seeing their field around their body and just feeling the presence of the energy that's all around us. You know, that to me is beauty. It's a smile. It's my breath. It's breathing in air. It's eating healthy food. Yeah, beauty is.
It's fullness of spirit. Right?
It is. Exactly.
When you let that spirit shine through.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
With spirit is perfect.
Yeah.
We all.
You know, and that I have to say that one thing that all the unfolding that I've done and the layers. I mean, I'm never lonely. I know that I'm never ever alone. That's beauty. That's knowing that I always have someone, something, an angel, Yeah, I'm always connected to something bigger. That is beauty. Like, oh my goodness. I mean, how rich is this lifetime?
Right.
What an honor to be here
Yeah.
in this great
Grateful,
shifting time.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I see a lot of so-called beautiful in the work that I did, that they were so lonely, sad, disconnected, and validated only from the outside, no self-validation, as a second-hand validation, like we are agents to whatever is going on, the new software of life, right? That lasts so short.
Right.
Because if we live there, we always feel disconnected and empty. You
Right,
know,
right.
that for me, yeah.
You know what's so beautiful too, is I touch pulses every day. I touch people. I really touch people, but it's beautiful when people have breakthroughs. Like,
Amazing.
I mean, that's the thing that's what keeps you going, what keeps you doing this work. That's it. When you see people on the other side, you know, maybe it's being in remission. Perhaps it's losing 10 pounds, and it's not just pounds. That's a lot of programming. It's a lot of story that's gone. It could be that someone who's been so exhausted that their vitality is like at zero practically, and to see that energy return, that to me is beautiful.
Life.
Yeah, that's life. That's like just seeing just grace in action.
Yeah, I think that just knowing you restore that. You always radiate beauty because you're like a hummingbird to me. I always say she's a hummingbird. She goes bing, 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 but it's pollinating. They never just sit in one place to destroy or to do anything that is self-consuming, right? It's always leaving something and feeding yourself. So hummingbird for me, definitely.
You know, that is so amazing that you're saying that, because there's a friend, I don't know if you know Alan Hutner. He's like, Robyn, you know, your energy is between a hummingbird and a jaguar. Yeah. I love that.
In the jungle for us, the jaguar sits in the bottom chakra, right? It's
right.
a protector of what comes in from earth. So when we do ayahuasca, that usually anaconda and jaguar, we always make sure that both are present. Huh?
Exactly, the puma, right? The jaguar, the puma.
Yeah, the jaguar, Hawaii. Oof. You have a non-profit foundation called Santa Fe Soul Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about it so our members can connect with it and be part?
Well, the best way now to connect with the evolution of that is kind of transitioned into the self-care revolution. So to get online at jointheselfcarerevolution.com, we decided the original purpose for the Santa Fe Soul Foundation was to provide the financially challenged in northern New Mexico with all that we offer here at the center, where that insurance doesn't cover, certainly Medicaid doesn't cover. And so we moved it into how can we reach more people. Certainly, you talked about education. It's an educational, gosh, we have so much information there. We're going to really transition a lot of it into blog radio so people can hear a lot of those archived interviews. And then we've had live events. But our message too, you know, I think we're through this self-care message that people can help reverse chronic disease in many cases, help people transmute trauma, help people learn just the simple foundational things that we need to do in daily life to feel well.
You educate and aid. And usually I see you walk the path with a lot of the people, and I've seen incredible transformations, you know. And what about your book? Where can we find it? Where can we, you know?
Okay.
What is a little bit about? Because nowadays to travel is a nightmare.
Well, for all the people that live in Santa Fe, Collected Works is a great place to get your book, or the art bookstore. Okay. And then on Amazon, you know, you can get you can order the actual book, or you can get the Kindle version. And so many people really liked that. Yeah, no, it's an easy way. So getting that, or if people want to go to the Healthy Travel book, if you go to that website, you can hear some of the speakers. We had a global, it's called the Healthy Travelers Global Summit, where we brought in 35 experts in the health and wellness world. It was unbelievable, the amount of information that was shared with our community. And so you can hear some of those speakers, and if you happen to go to that website, again, that's the Healthy Travel book, and you get some other bonus material as well.
And I was, you know, you're like the ambassador, or world ambassador. I've been that for years. That's my goal, to unite and to be around all this nature, because anywhere you are, you bring this aura and this
Right.
electrical field with all of us, with a little piece of all of us, you know, that we give you as thank you and gratitude for all you do.
Well, thank you.
And if in one word you can leave us with your gift, what would be in one word?
Can I just add one more thing to the last question?
Yes, absolutely.
In addition, for my book, you can actually come into our center. I just want to invite all of you to santafesoul.com just to find out about our practitioners, all the offerings, what happens in our event room. I just think that's just important to mention. But what is my gift?
In one word, what would you say is your gift? You leave them with that gift that is yours in one word.
My open heart.
Open heart.
My open heart.
Yeah.
My just receptivity.
If you summarize it, I think it's one word, and I know that word for you.
The word for me, love.
Yes.
Love.
Exactly right. That's what you are.
Yes. Love.
Love.
Mm-hmm.
You come from the heart and the soul. And I'm very thankful to be here with you. It's a lot of gratitude.
Thank you so much. It's great to be with you too.
Robyn.